I guess I'm going to introduce the work truck because it's been an ongoing project. I've never actually introduced it, never told a story about it, nothing, but it's appeared in a lot of videos, whether it be me driving around, going to a car show, whatever. I use this truck a lot. Now, I actually acquired this truck probably around 6-7 years ago, maybe a little bit longer. Now, of course, it didn't look anything like this at all. In fact, this side of the truck, well, honestly, kind of looked like it had been rolled off into a ditch. It was that bad. No joke. This thing was just used and abused when I got it. My other truck got T-boned and I needed a daily driver. Well, back then, it wasn't too hard to find a short wheelbase truck, whether it be a short wide or a short step, and for a fairly reasonable price. Such as this one. Obviously, it didn't look like this, didn't have these wheels and tires on it, didn't have the hood, didn't have the interior, whatever. But it half-ass ran, and it was $700. Whatever. Picked it up, needed something to drive every day, grabbed it. Well, of course, stuff kept going out on it, and fix, replace, whatever. And eventually, at where we're at now, and luckily, I hardly even have to open the hood or fix anything on this. And most of it is just honestly appearance-wise, other than the rear end. Now, I've put new axles and new bearings in the rear end, only to find out that the previous owner let the rear end bearings go so long that it actually misshapen the tube, actual tube itself on the driver's side, so bearings don't want to fit right. Whereas the passenger side, the bearing fits perfect as should, axle slides right on in as it should. Driver's side, no. So this thing's gonna need a new rear end. So, which is why I'm finally bringing this around into the project, because there's still some things I need to do to it, things I'm going to try. Now, this is the same engine in it that I got several years ago in it. I've not changed the engine out whatsoever. Transmission, on the other hand, I have. Now, obviously, this doesn't look like the same engine, but it is. Obviously, headers, valve covers, intake, carburetor, distributor, water pump, alternator, all that's been changed. The heads, block, crank, cam, rods, pistons, that's all been untouched. Now, obviously, electric fans, high torque mini starter, good battery, just keep it good and reliable. And it does have a decent amount of power. Now, I'm not sure exactly which good wrench crate engine this is, but like I said, it was in it when I got it. I haven't done anything internally to it at all, but I was able to actually get quite a bit of more performance out of it with some of those bolt-ons and a little bit of tuning and a little bit of here and there. So it actually runs extremely well for what it is, and if I'm not mistaken, it's actually only a 250 horsepower crate engine, which is not a lot, but this thing will actually move pretty quick. Now, when I got the truck, it had a 350 turbo in it. That didn't probably last a month, maybe a month and a half, and it went out. So the transmission shop built me a 93 model automatic overdrive, and I believe they call it a 4L60 still. It's not the 4L60E. Transmission shop said it's still the 4L60, which changed over in 93. It's a little bit stronger than the earlier 700R4s, from my understanding. And it's been in there for about as long as I've had this truck, and I have beat on it and it's still going, so I can't complain there. Now, the only thing I've done to it was took out the lockup converter and actually put an 1800 stall in it. So there's that. Obviously, I got a good cooler on it. Transmission actually runs about where it should be. I think it's on some of the hotter days around here, I think it runs about 185. So that's roughly, I think 175 is a magic number, but I could be wrong. But on the hottest days out here, it runs 185, so that's pretty good in my opinion. Now, one of the things I'm going to do to improve the performance of this, because it does extremely well as is, except in overdrive, which it still will fly down the highway. But when I change the rear end, I'm probably going to go to a 342 gear ratio. That should pair nicely with the overdrive on that, because right now it is 273 gears. So when driving overdrive, it's kind of sluggish a little bit, but it's still enough that even some of the newer vehicles, newer trucks, either can't outrun it or have a hard time outrunning it, depending on what they have, I guess. But that does pretty good itself. And like I said, if you know me around here, I have beat and beat and beat on this engine a lot, and luckily that thing's still holding up. So whoever says these old engines aren't reliable, well, I don't know what to tell them, because this one is still going and going, and I honestly don't know how long it was in there before I got it, but it looked like it's been in there a while. So it's a pretty good, reliable engine. It's been a good, reliable transmission. The rear end, no, but that's due to neglect. So get all that fixed up. Now, something I'm thinking about doing on the outside is actually lowering it a little bit. Now, I do have a 2-inch drop shackle in the rear, and it still hadn't lowered it enough where I liked. Lower it a little bit. I'm going to keep the Kragers. These are old school Kragers a buddy of mine had under the crawl space of his house. They look pretty good. Y'all have seen them before. But I have 7s on the front, 8s on the back, and that's what I'm going to keep. You can see they do look pretty nice. Front bumper, it's a little beat up, a little torn, turn signals are cracked. It's got those big old, in my opinion, ugly push bars. But with the route I'm going, I'm actually going to keep it like this. It's got the big old ugly bumper in the back. But you know what? Nightmare is supposed to be kind of a patina truck. This one, I'm going to let this primer go. I'm going to let it get old and ragged looking, which it's already starting to. Now, as you can see, the door doesn't fit exactly right. That's because this door is off a 74 or 75, and I can never seem to get lucky enough to get a 70s model C10 door to fit well with an 80s model, like some people say they do. I've never had luck out of it. As you can see, I put gills in the fenders because, well, let's be honest, there's rust in this truck. There's a lot of rust. So I put these gills in there. It does let the heat out. So that's a bonus, but it's kind of got this gaudy look to it, and I'm kind of digging it. Now the door, it's got a few dents in it. There's some rust coming out at the bottom there, as you can see, so it's still not a perfect door. But let me show you the other door that came off of it, that I took off of it, to show you what kind of shape it was in when I got it. Now here's the old door. Now, I didn't know how bad it was until I started sand on it and primer it. As you can see, just how much of this door is rust and Bondo. Pretty much majority of the door. Now you see here, that's just straight up rust. The only reason I'm keeping this door is actually for the mechanical parts on the inside. You see it's even got rust there. This door is completely and totally beat to almost nothing. Yep, you can't see the windows down, but it is a pretty horrendous dent. I guess what they did was they filled the dent and tried to let it go, but you can see that's pretty bad. Now as for the interior, it is pretty rough itself. I put the seats in it. The old seats were just horrendously ugly and uncomfortable, so swapped to these. These are the eBay specials, and well, they've been in there for a little while and they're falling apart too, so They kind of matches the rest of the truck. Put a couple speakers in there. As you can see, this is pretty rough on the inside as well, but it's comfortable enough to drive. Now, one of the neat things about this is when I had the 77 heavy half, it had a pretty decent headliner. So that's what I actually put in here, because the previous owner had used some kind of weird glue and glued up carpet as a headliner, and it just looked horrible. So I ripped it down, and when I did, it left all kinds of glue residue and everything. So once I got this headliner and the pillar panels and all that trim, well, decided to put it on here. And the nice thing is, still got one of those on it, which was neat. Alright, so there's a work truck. Like I said, I drive this thing every single day. I've taken tons of trips in it. And other than a few things like the old fuel line's actually collapsing and causing me to run out of fuel in the rear end, the carburetor that was on it originally gave me nothing but trouble. Of course, it was an Edelbrock carburetor, which I've never had good luck out of personally. So it gave me a lot of trouble. Once I changed all that out, it's been actually a pretty decent, reliable truck. But, said, some work to do to it. I'm going to leave it. It's kind of beat up primer look, because there's spots that have been dented, scratched, faded. There's cracks around the Bondo now. There's chipping everywhere. There's weird discoloration in it now, and like what I was trying to do on the Nightmare was kind of keep it looking like that. This one will stay looking like that. So it's going to kind of be a beat up, primered looking truck. Drop it down a little bit and roll with it. Now, the reason I am lowering it is because I already got to do suspension work under there anyway. And the reason why I think it looked like it'd been rolled into a ditch or a covert is not just because of what the body looked like down the side of it when I got it. That AR arm down there is still bent. So they hit something pretty good. And if I got to change that, I might as well just go ahead and drop it just a little bit, not too much to make it slant, but just enough. Change out 342s, maybe do a little bit more work and see what I'll run. So hopefully you'll enjoy the upcoming uploads on this project. And as always, thanks for watching.